All right, I think we can go ahead and get started here. Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alberto West. I'm the Senior Director of Investor Relations at United Way of Racine County. I want to thank you all for joining us today for our Impact Tour series. This is our third series or third tour today here with the Community School Coordinator, Leanne Martinez, and Community School Director and Principal, Danny Decker. So those of you that maybe have joined us for the other tours that we held the last 3 months, it really is an opportunity for us to share with all of you the impact of our collective efforts and the work of the Racine County community. Thanks to whether you're a volunteer, a donor, a partner agency, or just a community partner, none of the work can be done alone. So we thank you all for not only joining us today, but for supporting our work at United Way of Racine County. So again, we will be speaking today with Leanne and Danny. So good afternoon, Leanne and Danny.
Good afternoon.
Thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy day to join us for 30 minutes and share the important work that you all do at Julian Thomas. So just a few housekeeping things, before we actually jump into the kind of the Q&A portion of the presentation. This really is a lunch and learn to really gain a better understanding firsthand how United Way works with community partners, specifically in this one, Racine Unified School District, to really help fight for the health, education, financial stability of everyone in our community. So I ask that everyone please stay muted as we go through the presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat box. We have Tracy Feast here, our Investor Relations Manager at United Way of Racine County, who is tracking those questions. And we will have a Q&A portion for viewers at the end of it. So feel free to unmute yourself at that portion if you do have any questions, or again, feel free to drop those in the chat. So with that, I will jump into the first question here for Leanne. Can you tell us what is a community school?
That's a great question. When we think of a school, we usually think of just the physical place that serves as the educational institution, but a community school is not only that, it's also a center, a hub for community life in an area. And in this way, it really creates partnerships and collaborations between the school, the families, partnering organizations, and the local community so that it can provide resources that focus on academics, youth development, family support, health and wellness, social services, things like that, that can increase the opportunities for children to succeed in school just by adding resources that we know make a difference.
Great. So just briefly, I think some background information about community schools or LIFT, the Lincoln Inspire for Tomorrow initiative. We have been partnering with Racine Unified School District since 2016, when we launched the first community school at Knapp Elementary, and JT is our second. And we actually just launched the third community school at Mitchell K-8 this school year. So just some background information about, the LIFT initiative and community school partnership. So you shared a little bit kind of, what is a community school? Can you share how long JT's been a community school and kind of, the benefit of that, right?
Okay. Julian Thomas became a community school in the fall of 2019. At that time, United Way and Racine Unified School District were very excited to open up as a community school. And then spring of next year, 2020, the world kind of imploded. And unfortunately, while we weren't able to meet in person, we were still able to have certain resources available to parents virtually. So when I came on at United Way, we were having virtual resource fairs with families and our community partners and impact partners. We were still having community nights although virtually, that were very, very fun. So, some of the benefits of having that community schools is knowing that we have those resources and that our partners are still, willing and able and really want to get out and work with the families and the students to help them succeed.
Great. So you shared a little bit about like community nights. Can you share a little bit what that is and what that looks like? And then also maybe some other programs and services that are provided to these students and families of JT?
Okay. Community nights are a great way for families, staff members, community members to come together here at the school. Normally, that would be in our multi-purpose room, and we'd set up tables for our partners to come and talk to families about the services they provide, whether they be medical, health, dental services, to Girl Scouts, youth development programs that we have. They would have games, we have theme nights, and then the students come together, we all eat a meal together, there might be music and dancing, and it's just a way for the families to come together and meet each other and talk and communicate. Having those virtually, definitely very different, but still doable and just in a different way. Some of the other programs that we provide here at the school include anything from special education advocacy programs to our mental health programs that actually occur not only after school, but also during the school day as well.
Okay. So you talked a little bit about providing families and students or, with the mental health or dental. Can you explain a little bit more about maybe some of those services in mental health or dental?
Sure. So the mental health clinic that we have is through a partnership with the Children's Hospital of Wisconsin. Julian Thomas is really lucky. We have a full-time mental health therapist here on site. Any family member that would like to have a referral for their child can talk to the school and talk to our mental health therapist. We offer both individual therapy as well as group therapy, family therapy, and the financial assistance is available to those who are determined to be unable to pay some or all of their charges. So it's just a great way for families to be able to seek help if they feel that they need to for their students. We also have dental cleanings, usually, not when we have COVID. Available at Julian Thomas and some of the other community schools and schools in Racine Unified.
Yeah, that's great. I like that you shared, that you work with, Children's Hospital to remove some of those barriers, right, around payment to help with families, getting the services they need around mental health. So that's great. I know you all do some other pretty exciting programming for the students and families. Can you maybe explain a little bit about the walking school bus or the Tommy Tornado Club?
Sure. So we are just about to launch a new program with our amazing walking school bus coordinator, Katie Tuttle, who I believe is on this call. The walking school bus is just like what it sounds like. It is a group of 2 adult leaders, volunteers, that will be walking a small group of children that live in the area around the school to school in the morning. Right now, we're just doing it 1 day a week until we can start expanding and recruiting more volunteers. So if anybody on the call is interested in helping us out, that'd be great. But it's just a way for us to make sure that kids that live in the area that will be walking to school anyway get to walk with a group, and they can do it in a safe and fun way. So keep an eye out for that. That's going to be launching early next month. And if there's any parents that are interested, please feel free to call the school and let them know. The Tommy Tornado Club is our extended learning opportunity. One of the pillars of community schools is to have these extended learning opportunities available for students. And if families need to go into work early or stay a little bit later, they're able to bring their kids to the school and have childcare, before and after school care provided for their students in a safe and fun environment. And they work on anything from extra schoolwork, tutoring, to just youth development and bonding activities.
That's great. I really appreciate the walking school bus, because not only, are we making sure that students are getting to school safely, but we're making sure they're getting there on time, right? To really help with, truancy or tardiness. So it's a great program. Can you maybe share a little bit about when parents or families come in to seek resources or services, is there a specific place that they can go as like a one-stop shop?
So I am currently in our Family Resource Center here at Julian Thomas. All of our community schools, Knapp Elementary, Julian Thomas, as well as Mitchell School, have family resource centers. And this is a resource for any Title I parent in any Title I school through our USD to come and get extra resources, extra support. We offer a space, again, when we aren't concerned about social distancing quite so much anymore. This will be a space for parent and student activities, for parenting classes. We've had English as second language classes for adults in here as well. And we have extra school supplies, support materials, and different books and activities for kids that they can be doing in here. Of course, with social distancing and COVID, we can't utilize it the way that we would like to, but hopefully in the future, we'll be able to do that soon.
That's great. How do you go about selecting what programs are provided at JT?
So before Julian Thomas became a community school, and we did this again with Mitchell just recently, we have what are called community conversations. This is a space where we could go physically and speak one-on-one with individuals in the community, families, staff members, and even students. When we had to do it virtually, we were able to do that. We also had surveys, and we asked all of the adults and students, what they thought that the struggles were with having the school in this area, what the strengths were of the community and the students, and what solutions we could have. So when we look at the programs that we are going to offer, we look at those community conversations and we say, okay, we know everybody wants to have a safe and fun environment that they can learn in, but what specifically are people looking for and how can we meet those needs? And with the local nonprofits that we work with.
That's great. I know, so some of us are heavily involved in that process, and not only does it happen at the beginning of launching a new community school, but I know we just revisited in doing community conversations at Knapp Elementary right now, already 4 or 5 years into programming, just to see, are the needs the same, have they changed? So yeah, it's a great process of including people and making sure their voices are heard, right? So that's great. Can you tell us specifically what is your role as a community school coordinator, and how does that benefit the school, the staff, faculty, families, students?
Okay. Well, I facilitate the collaboration, the partnerships, and the development of the service programs that we have at the school. So I'm not doing the programs themselves, but helping to arrange and have them here at the school, either during school or after school. A wise woman I know once said that if a school was like a car, that the coordinator would be like the engine, keeping everything running smoothly. I have a physical office at Julian Thomas, but I actually spend most of my time here in the Family Resource Center. I'm sorry, I have a physical office at United Way, but I spend most of my time here at Julian Thomas. And in this way, I can talk to the teachers, I can talk to the students, I can, go across the hallway and talk to the principal if I need to, and I can assess the needs and challenges as well as the strengths of everybody involved, the students, the families, and the community. And in this way, we can provide the most productive resources available. I think it's great because then, if we need to work with the counselor or the social worker, every staff member has their role, has their job. We can bring in extra partners to do different programming. And that way the teachers can really focus on teaching as opposed to worrying about other needs that the students or the families might have.
That's great. a very supportive role. So I'm sure the faculty at JT are very appreciative of that. So you play a big, important role in that. So anything else you'd like to share about, your role or just kind of the community school before we kind of talk to the principal, Danny Decker?
I think just so that everyone knows, each community school has their own community school coordinator. I'm very, very lucky to work with a great team. Our manager, Vanetta. We have a new coordinator at Mitchell, Kira Munoz, and Zaire, and I have been working as coordinators for a little bit now, and I'm just very, very excited to have Mitchell as a new community school and get to work and build this wonderful program.
Great, thank you, Leanne. So with that, I would like to ask a few questions of Danny. So Danny, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Good. Doing well. Thank you so much for taking some time and joining us today. So a few questions for you. First one here, can you maybe explain a little bit, what is the benefit of RUSD partnering with United Way on the community school initiative or LIFT initiative?
Sure. I think we just heard quite a bit from Leanne that explained a lot of that. But I think if I had to sum it up in a sentence, I think the greatest benefit is the connections the United Way supports Julian Thomas with, when it comes to finding community resources and programming for the school community.
Great. So maybe this is really a question around donors. And so when somebody donates to United Way of Racine County, approximately how many students or families are impacted through the LIFT initiative and at JT, and kind of, can you explain a little bit, how are they impacted? And
yeah, so I'd say on average, Julian Thomas has had a little over 400 students attending since it became a community school.
Okay, and then their families, right? You're providing services not only for the students, but for their families.
Correct. Yep. And I mean, the number of families and so forth, I don't have in front of me, but you can kind of figure that out based on the number of students. And servicing 4-year-olds through 5th graders.
Great. What kind of impact does it have for the surrounding neighborhoods? I know probably a lot of them attend JT. I think is it a walking? I think everybody that attends the school is in walking distance, or?
Yes, they are. Yep. And I think before we get into that, I think it's important, I know I kind of jumped ahead with this next question, but to just back up, I mean, when we talk about the impact, and especially like our staff and our faculty, we sometimes wonder, well, is there benefit to them as well? And to that extent, I want to say absolutely. If there's one thing that I think our staff knows, that saying it takes a village to raise a child, and that it can't just fall on the family, right? Or it just can't fall on the teacher and so forth. So they realize that any way that our community can support our students, in turn makes the students more and more successful with their school career. So I just wanted to put that out there because I think that's a piece that sometimes, we forget about with our staff as well, but it does impact our staff in terms of just the whole community perspective. Yeah, but getting back to, mentioning about asking about the community school and the surrounding community. Yeah, the community school reaches so much more than just obviously the school community. I believe that our community they want nothing more than to see our young children grow, right? Up to be successful, productive citizens, right? That, they can continue to contribute back to their community that they grew up in, and almost just keeping that cycle going of support.
That's great. Yeah, we'd most definitely try to engage local businesses, families, even if they don't have children that attend the school, right? I remember from one of the community conversations that we held at JT, a lot of people trusted a neighbor that was, older, and they really looked to that individual to help with things within the neighborhood. So that's great. Can you share maybe some milestones or accomplishments since becoming a community school. I know this last year has been a bit difficult, right? So
To say the least.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's interesting that you say that, because so I think last school year was truly a test, right? To how we could be that support for our family and students. And at the heart of it, it's building those relationships and those partnerships that can be sustained from year to year, and how important that is. And I think that's exactly what we did last year. And it's about having those right people on the bus. And I really think that we're heading in that direction. And last year was a good example of us of really supporting and building those relationships with our families in the community.
Yeah, I agree with that. There was a call to action to the community to help with families, and I know we did some drives for supplies, and I believe somebody donated a washer and dryer because that was a need. So there were a number of things that the community definitely stepped up and helped with. So we're very appreciative of the community support and donors and things like that. So I guess looking forward, to this school year, we're now a month in. Are there any ways that the community can support JT? Any immediate needs or future needs?
Sure. So I just want to say that we continue to have so many community members and organizations reach out to see how they can support us. And I just want to say thank you so much. We completely appreciate it. But the need can vary, I guess. And at times we may be in need of material items, and other times we may need a volunteer like Leanne spoke of for the walking school bus or an activity in the classroom. So I guess the best way would be, I would suggest, is to reach out to Leanne or me, either through email or phone, and to inquire.
Great. Any last minute things you care to share with the audience before we open it up for questions?
I don't think I have anything additional to share. I guess I'm interested to see if there's any questions and anything that Leanne and I can further clarify or answer.
Great. So with that, we will open it up to everyone who's joining us today to ask any questions, either for Danny or Leanne. So feel free again to drop them in the chat box or unmute yourself to ask your question.
We do have one question from Jody. I'm curious if the Schools of Hope program might be reinstated this school year, or if a decision has been made to hold off until the next year.
Jessica Safranski, who is our Chief Operating Officer, could probably answer that question. I know she's been working with Lori Riffer, who is our programs initiative manager, on getting that situated. So Jessica, I did see Jessica raise her hand.
I did see, I saw it, so I don't know, I don't want to speak up on her behalf. There you are.
I'm happy to jump in on that question. And thank you for asking, Jody. We would love to have you back as a tutor as soon as we can. We are working with the district on a very regular basis to look at what is the safest way to bring volunteers back into the school to support students, and do so in a way that not only protects the safety of the students and the volunteers, but also looks at how do we mobilize volunteers to support the needs of students right now, which we know are a little bit different than they were before the pandemic. Students are coming back to us with maybe some learning loss, but also a lot of trauma and needing to have a lot of support and love to surround them. And so please be on the lookout for more information as we're working on those plans, because our volunteers and having community members go into the school, I think is so critical, not only to support our students and families and teachers, but to really put the power of the community to work.
Thank you, Jessica. Tracy, I see we have some other questions in the chat box.
Yep. We have a question from Anita. She wants to know how the school year has been going in terms of attendance.
Sure, I can speak to that. Better than last year. I will say that. We're still, obviously, it's no secret that we're battling kind of making sure that we're keeping all parties safe, and that with that being said, if there are symptoms that students are showing that they are needing to spend some time outside of the school and so forth. So we are working on also, when they are at home, continuing our remote support in terms of having teachers updating and keeping kids in the loop with activities and things that they can do while they're at home waiting to be well enough to come back to school. So it is better than it has been last year. I think right now, last I looked yesterday, we were at around an average daily attendance of lower than in the past prior to COVID, but around 86%.
Great, thank you, Danny. Tracy, I believe there is one or two more.
Yep. We have a question from Julie. Approximately how many students and families have been using the mental health services at any one of the schools?
I can answer that partially, at least. So the mental health clinic is available not only at Julian Thomas, but a few other schools, including the Knapp Community School, Wadowitz, Johnson, Pratt, as well. I believe, and I could be wrong, and I will find out to make sure, but I believe their caseload is generally about 30 students during the school year per year. Because of COVID last year, obviously that changed everything. So we're looking at an increase from last year, but that would be, for everything. How many families I am unsure of though. Danny, I don't know if you have any other information besides that.
Sure. So as of right now, we're working on starting up that process. Unfortunately, last year, Julian Thomas, sorry about that. Julian Thomas went through a little bit of a transition with our therapists. So what happened was the full-time therapist ended up taking another job, and so we were without a therapist for some time. The nice thing is that we hired a new therapist that is split between Julian Thomas and Knapp. And while in the meantime, while we're trying to get a full-time therapist, that person, Linda Police, has been kind enough to help and support Julian Thomas. So the beginning of getting that up and running after COVID is taking some time, but we do have some families in need, and we're going through the process of getting them enrolled and started with a therapist.
Last question, Tracy, I think.
No other questions, just a lot of praise for our community school coordinators and how great it is to have Julian Thomas as a community school. So there, let's see, Terry Ward said, thank you for your dedication to our students, Danny, Vanetta, Leanne, Zaire, and all at United Way. It puts their hearts and souls into it. Sorry, I just lost my chat.
Thank you, Terry. I just want to say you're an awesome partner to work with here at JT.
Yes. It says that Extension staff is looking forward to being back in the Family Resource Center with you all very soon.
That's great. I think a lot of people are looking forward to that, right? There's an element of community that we miss virtually, but we, as mentioned earlier, right, we want to keep everyone safe. So I want to thank both Danny and Leanne for joining us today to share the important work that you all do. So thank you for not only joining us, but for that work. So this here, before we close out for today, again, if you want to get involved, reach out to Leanne Martinez. Her email is posted here. Again, we are looking for walking school bus volunteers and other sponsorship opportunities for those community nights. And you can always support, the work by donating to United Way of Racine County at unitedwayracine.org/give. And then I just want to remind everyone, this is a monthly event that we do. Our next Impact Tour will be Tuesday, October 19th with NAMI of Racine County. So that invite will be going out next week. So look for that in your inbox. But otherwise, we will be posting this recording tomorrow. So anyone that couldn't make it today, any of your friends, colleagues, you want to share the important work that's happening at community schools, you can most definitely share that link so they can watch this recording. So with that, again, I just want to thank everyone for joining us, and I hope you all have a great afternoon. Bye now.